All elves have an understanding of natural life like no other. May it be the corrupt dark elves, or the Azurai living within the enchanted forests. Yet, not all who are linked to the critters of nature choose to honor their mysterious bond. Unlike the wood elves who seek peace and harmony with the animals of all kinds, the Druchii, they exploit their connection in atrocious ways. In the grim land of Rakarth, some of the most capable Beastmasters are trained in the cruel methods of taming and subduing feral creatures to their will. Through long centuries have they mastered their craft, and the Druchii Beastmasters have excelled in enslaving the strangest and deadliest beasts that roam the world. Before we begin exploring more about Rakarth and the Dark Elves Beastmasters, we'd like to thank Warhammer 40k Lost Crusade for sponsoring this video. Lost Crusade is the first mobile strategy game under the Warhammer 40k title, and it is now released in the US. You can take on the role of a fleet commander to wage war on all enemies within the Imperium Nihilus, the half of the Imperium of Man isolated from Terra after the formation of the Great Rift. With the full Warhammer 40,000 visual experience, voice acting for all heroes, strategic battles, real-time PvE combat and more, you will have the most precise version of characters, weapons, sounds and other features from the 40k universe. Join the war now and embark on an epic journey by going to the link in the description and clicking on Redeem Code, sign in with your account, select the server that you want to play in, and enter the gift code CHOYAXLC to claim it. Download Warhammer 40k, Lost Crusade, and begin playing now.
The threat of chaos must be driven back. Uncountable enemies stand in their path, but the defenders of the Imperium do not stand alone. Guided by their unshakable faith in the Emperor, they will vanquish the storm. They will be the light that breaches the darkness. And they shall know no fear.
Famed as a Beastmaster hub, the maze-like streets of Rakarth are often echoed with screams and wails coming from the many caged and tormented creatures. It is a grim sound that never stops. It was here where the first of the feral Cold Ones were brought in to be broken and bent to be used as steeds for the nobles. Even the most ferocious of creatures cannot withstand the brutality and the temper of an adept Beastmaster of Rakarth. The Masters worship the violent goddess of the savage hunt, Anathrema, a wicked patron from whom shrines are raised in every corner of the city. There is no beast that cannot be tamed, no will that cannot be broken. Yet, it is not solely the barbarity of the Master that sways the spirit, but also the appreciation and understanding of the creature's strength that allows the Beastmaster to succeed. It is such unique manner of practice that sooner or later results in twisted spectacles, such as riders atop roaring Cold Ones, manticores, and even dragons. Perhaps the most astonishing and harrowing sight of all is to witness a Charybdis at the command of a Beastmaster during a battle. A master who can find and then control such a legendary monster is almost guaranteed of a good reputation, since even capturing a Charybdis is a prodigious effort. These giant primordial creatures of the deep sea can only be lured to the surface of the murky waters with the magic of a sorceress. It is only then that the Beastmaster has a slim chance in apprehending the beast. A successfully trained Charybdis, although never fully tamed, is an unmatched weapon that can sweep off an entire regiment of infantry. An experienced Beastmaster knows to channel the fury of the beast rather than command it, for such a creature neither feels nor understands concepts such as loyalty.
We have a visitor, Rakarth. Shall we hear them, or flay them alive?
When it is clear that a dark elf in particular possesses a deep connection with the beasts, they are sent to Clarkarond to master the brutal ways of the whirling whip. Rakarth of Karen-Ka was one of such promising prospects, who eventually grew to become the most acclaimed and gifted beast lord of the bleak, cold and hostile lands of Nagaroth. When he was a mere child, Rakarth saw his father failing to tame a legendary black dragon named Brachus. The Beastmaster's mediocre skills had neither broken the creature's soul nor impressed him whatsoever. Furious and miffed, the dark elf ordered the dragon to be slain if he was not to obey him. Yet Rakarth bargained for the dragon's life and asked for a chance to prove his own competence in controlling the mighty beast. Although not appeased, the Beastmaster agreed for his son to keep the creature for himself, only if he could manage to ride it. Once Rakarth locked onto the eyes of the enormous beast, the black dragon saw a darkness and vigor greater than his own, and bowed down to Rakarth without a fight. That day marked the birth of a legendary Beastmaster, who from then on rode on the mighty Brachus to every battle that awaited him. Over the centuries, Rakarth commanded all sorts of enslaved creatures into living beings of war and destruction. During one of many battles against the High Elves of Ulthuan, the Beastmaster led 9 war hydras to a seemingly assured victory. Yet, he had underestimated the magical strength possessed by 3 High Elf wizards fighting in the enemy lines. After 6 of the massive hydras perished in the combined magical attacks of the wizards, 2 of the remaining 3 broke loose and scattered. This resulted in the dark elf forces having to flee as well, having lost much of their killing power. This was a huge blow to Rakarth's army, and a dent in his reputation as Beastmaster. Not long after that incident, an enraged Rakarth requested the help of Marathi to never again be defeated or shamed by the power of high magic. The sorceress used her dark and twisted powers to mutate and deform the remaining war hydra to become the first of the Spellthirster Hydras. The creature turned and twisted as its skin glowed with the blue waves of ominous energy flowing through its body. Although physically weaker, the reborn Hydra showed immense resistance to high magic, much at Rakarth's pleasure. The Beastmaster and the sorceress had created a new line of monstrosities that were to be used in the wars to come against the High Elves of Ulthuan and many more enemies. In the year 1974 of the Imperial calendar, Rakarth rode Brachus to the ports of the Old World, and led a crushing force of war hydras and black dragons to slaughter the men of the Empire. Merchants, sailors, and warriors alike. Far too many cities burned to ash, and were only left to be after the last of the defenders were cut down or captured. The deadly Druchii army also sieged Castle Brion of Bretonnia, after Rakarth demanded a fifth of the city's population to be handed over to him to be taken as slaves. Meeting with resistance from the age-old Duke Corentin, Rakarth unleashed the wrath of his army and painted the white stones of the city red. The unfortunate survivors of the assault were taken to the slave ports of Nagaroth to embark upon a life worse than the cold grip of death itself. The Beastmaster was valued greatly by none less than the Witch King. Malekith was wise to recognize Rakarth's worth, for his talents served him in a way none other could do. Malekith was still bitter about the death of his black dragon, Caliphon, a long time ago, and had cursed all of the dragons offered to him by the nobles of the land. Although he rode to battle in a distinctive chariot, armed with blades and pulled by the Cold Ones, nothing was menacing as seeing the Witch King glide above his enemies on a raging black dragon. Centuries after the passing of Caliphon, it was Rakarth who announced the discovery of an unattended nest of dragon eggs to the Witch King. The dozen eggs were taken to Nagaroth and tended for 100 years until the first one hatched out of his shell. The deed of the newborn before all else was to attack the other eggs and destroy them until he was stopped. Interpreting this as a sign of the dragon's natural cruelty and hostility, the Witch King named the dragon Seraphon and claimed him as his own mount. Rakarth trained and tamed Seraphon and his surviving siblings ruthlessly for centuries long, until the Witch King finally had a mighty force of dragons thirsty for destruction and bring doom upon Ulthuan. Having tamed the creatures of the rarest nature, Rakarth is still at his prime as a Beastmaster and a warrior lord. There is yet much Rakarth has to accomplish, for staying atop the food chain in Nagaroth demands strength, cunning, and relentless work.
On this channel, we are putting together narrative Total War cinematic battles and Warhammer lore videos. A special thank you goes to our Patreon supporters who help us in the making of more content. You can also join Patreon and earn extra perks while supporting the videos to come. Find the link in the description below. Make sure to subscribe, and thank you for watching. See you on the next one.